MoneroTopia weekly news segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right, so first we got a lot of links. I'm going to try to go over these a little bit quickly. But the first one is from Fluffy Pony. You know that Black Mirror episode where you can see everyone's social credit score? This is literally what at Sama and at WorldCoin are building. It's disgusting. Black Mirror isn't supposed to be an operational guide. It's supposed to show us a dystopian future that we do not want. I'm so disappointed in them. So what we're looking at here, it appears to be some sort of like the orb, but like a mini device that you can like carry around with you and use whenever you want. Here's a video.
Approved.
Ooh, look at that, guys. You can get your orb. How cool. You can get your orb mini, your personal orb mini. So awesome. So great.
And that's the opt-in social, like, because you don't have to buy the orb mini, but if you want to be part of a verified community of people.
Verified community of people.
This man has not hurt any women. He has not been cringe on dates verified. This man has a cringe level of 9. You'd probably want to avoid a date with him.
The premium dating experience on chain.
Yeah. It was funny, like all of the scenes, there were a guy and a girl doing things suspiciously like a date. Like she was there, like she's like, should I go on a date with this guy? Let me ask my orb.
Let me check the orb. Let's do an orb check on this guy real quick before I start this date with him. Let's do an orb check.
Please look at that hair. Let's
see his composed.
He's got facial hair, but not too much. Well groomed. He didn't need the orb. He was fine.
Crazy. I don't even know what is this supposed to enable exactly. I don't even understand. Like, what is the purpose of this?
So you can make sure that your OnlyFans isn't just the AI chick.
Of course.
Like the primary use case.
So I guess going into a world of where there might be, humanoid robots, you can do a human verification. But what if the robots get so good that they pass the orb check and it's useless and you just gave up all your info for nothing? Next tweet from Fluffy Pony. Here's my guide to help you understand the current Bitcoin op return drama. All right, let's go ahead and read of this real quick. Bitcoin is designed to be like cash. You can't stop people drawing cat pictures on $100 bills and then using those to pay. They're legal tender, and by law, the recipient does not have the right to refuse them, nor do they have the right to say, I'd like a $100 bill without a cat scribbled on it. Is that true? To my knowledge, businesses have the right to choose any payment method they want to be able to, like, they're cashless businesses. So is that even true in the United States? I don't know. Because to me, it doesn't seem like it is. If you try to pass a law saying that people are not allowed to draw or write on US dollar bills, it wouldn't stop people from doing it. At best, they just start to use invisible ink. At worst, they'd use ink that takes a few hours to reveal so that the recipient thinks the bill is unmarked. But then after a few hours, it's unusable and they've lost money as I can't use the bill. Currently, in Bitcoin land, there is a law, and the law is that you can draw cat pictures, but they have to be really small. Some people follow this and draw small cat pictures, but other people want to use a larger part of the bill, so they have been using this ink that takes a few hours to reveal itself. Yep. The group of people that made the law about cat pictures on cash being small sees that this is going to lead to a bigger problem if more people catch on and start using this ink, and so they are discussing among themselves whether this law should just be taken away, that there is never a reason to use this ink, but everyone can just scribble on a note as much as they want, thus removing the incentive to do harm. Some people who've never been part of this type of discussion found out that one of the people in this group once invested in a company that makes pens and are really mad that he doesn't go around constantly telling everyone about every investment he's previously made. Now everyone is suddenly an expert in cat pictures, invisible ink, and US dollar bills, and boy, do they have strong opinions about all of this. Yeah, that's basically steganography with the analogy of the invisible ink, right? Kind of hiding like other data in a Bitcoin transaction, and like doing it in certain ways, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so that's the
your
OP.
take on all that, man?
I take. I don't know. I don't really like. I think it makes, in the way in which you described Bitcoin, it makes sense that you wouldn't want to have like these kind of like rules. Like this is the current debate going on, which is like, oh, should people allowed be able to put this arbitrary data on Bitcoin or not? I think in the way that Bitcoin's designed, it's impossible to like truly prevent that. And the argument that people are going to go around and do it anyway, totally. I mean, that exists, and that's what we've seen people done already. And just the way with Bitcoin designed, it makes sense that it would be more hands-off. And you would expect generally that there would be some sort of disincentives to like putting arbitrary data on Bitcoin, which is like the fees. But then it gets in the way of people actually trying to use Bitcoin. But at this point, does it even matter? Because people don't actually really use Bitcoin as, cash, as like money that much at all. So at that point, I don't think it really matters. To me, I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I think it's a lost cause anyway. I'm not really that invested. Well, if we had like someone like Seth to come up, he could definitely talk about this and he would have a strong opinion about it, I'm sure. I think he's more on the side of not having these like arbitrary rules. But yeah, I don't know. Any thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I'm kind of with you. It's a lost cause. There's not much they can do about it. There is actually quite a lot they could do about it, but practically speaking, they're not going to do any of those things. So the whole op return nonsense is it's funny because it's like Peter Todd is right, kind of, sort of, mostly. It's like you might as well just increase op return because people are stuffing outputs, and you don't want to pollute the UTXO set because that goes into a database which gets indexed, and you really want to be able to, like, that's kind of the most pristine part of the transaction that you need to not be polluted for efficiency reasons. And so you have people like BitVM, right? They're trying to basically do arbitrary code execution on Bitcoin, right?
So instead they have to spread it out instead of like doing single transactions, right? They got to spread it out, which
what they're doing is they're stuffing outputs is what they're doing. They're
creating outputs.
They're creating dust outputs to put the data, because what they need is for whatever reason, I don't know why, but some of their data, some kind of like tagging or probably a key or something, needs to go into the base transaction data. So not the SegWit data, but the base transaction data. And right now, op return doesn't provide them a large enough field, so they've been stuffing UTXOs, which pollutes the UTXO set in the database. So it does make a lot of sense to increase the size of op return for extensibility purposes, but like in proper system design, like we talked about in Monero, we said, hey, if we're going to do extensibility, let's reduce transaction extra. Let's reduce that as much as possible and only allow like what they need. You need X amount of space for a key. Okay, if we're going to allow it, then you get, how many bytes was it? I can't remember, like 32 bytes for a key. So in my opinion, my humble opinion, not so humble opinion, what they need to do is increase op return so that these basic extensibility use cases can be met, but only extend op return that much and no more. And then what they need to do is start weighting the UTXO output of the transaction as a higher weighting, right? That needs to cost the most because you want to disincentivize using UTXOs. So now you've given BitVM and other extensibility bros what they need to do their extensibility. The rest of it, they can use SegWit. No, by the way, you get a 4x discount for using SegWit anyways, right? So the simple fact is that people don't want to use base transaction data. They do want to use SegWit. They're naturally incentivized to use SegWit. So you don't even really need to worry about that. So like this whole let's uncap the limit for op return, that's retarded. Like that's the part where Peter Todd is wrong, and that's the part where Jameson Lopp are just wrong. But overall, this doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter because almost no one is using Opportun to do this. It's a non-problem. Yeah, there's a tiny little bit of pollution of the UTXO set right now, but it's not really a big problem. And if they want it to be non-contentious and actually help the chain and not be like malicious bad actors, which I think they are, most likely than not, like they're malicious bad actors. If they wanted to actually help the chain, they would just barely increase Opportun so that it meets the extensibility needs, but not like uncap it completely. I know that's long-winded. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Yeah. This Bitcoin drama is like, it's, yeah.
I'm loving it, dude. I got my
Yeah,
popcorn.
you like it.
Watching these idiots just debate about stupid shit and then like debate their, oh God, it's annoying, but it's like, you know what? This is the technical debt that y'all incurred with the way that you implemented SegWit as a dirty hack, and y'all deserve every bit of it because y'all been so arrogant about the best chain, the smartest guys in the room. Like, so I kind of sound frustrated, and I guess I am a little bit, but I'm also extremely entertained.
You're like, it's just like vindicating to people who have had these major gripes with Bitcoin this whole time. You're like, yep, finally you're seeing, finally you're running into these issues and seeing how there's like this minor implosion.
Yep.
Moving on, Aaron Day tweeted, I got 100 freedom dollars, a privacy focused stablecoin using the Xano project. Here's how I did it simply. I linked my Xano mobile wallet to the centralized exchange at trade.xano.org. I placed a buy order in an instant market order, provided liquidity. I had the freedom dollars asset ID to my wallet. Done. Now I have $100 worth of freedom dollars in my wallet. No third parties were involved. I can swap back to Xano anytime via the exchange. This is a big deal. Is this what we saw last week? That stablecoin on Xano?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the
I think
exact
that's
same
what we
thing.
saw last week. I mean, if it's like backed 1-to-1, and they have reserves, I don't see if there's necessarily like a problem with it. It's just like I know there are some downsides to not having like smart capabilities. I don't know if you could speak to that, Body, in regards to having a stable coin. I just dropped my keyboard on the floor.
I think they said that. I thought I heard that actually. I think they said they're backed 10-to-1. So I mean, over backed stable, like that's definitely something that's been done before. It's not new. It's still dangerous. Everything's fine for now, but if price is crashing, those stable coins are not going to save you. You're probably going to lose everything if we're like in a real true crash bear market scenario.
Yeah. And seeing how new Xano is, that's definitely a valid concern, and seeing how it's had some pretty intense price swings just because of the low liquidity and how new it is. So yep. Interesting to see nonetheless, though. Would be cool if we do have private stable coins, though. I'm definitely not opposed to that. Jameson Lopp tweeted, the father of a crypto millionaire was kidnapped in broad daylight in Paris on Tuesday, similar to the David Balland attack. Was that the Ledger guy? A ransom of 5 million euro was demanded, and one of the victims' fingers were amputated. Oh my word! This is why you got to keep your assets private. That's why I keep the value private. Now, if you're a high up individual, I mean, it's, at some point it's like obvious you have money, but that's kind of scary. It's a lot easier to see exactly how much you have and where you have it if your holdings are somewhat public, for your personal wealth. That's pretty scary. Gotta stay safe out there, guys, and don't be advertising your crypto gains like me, because I'm a poor, humble penguin, and I don't have much to give. Just my opinions online. The Rage,
and those can't be stolen.
Those can't be. No, I steal everyone else's opinions. Breaking: SDNY suppressed exculpatory evidence in the Samurai Wallet case. FinCEN told prosecutors Samurai Wallet app would not qualify as a money services business requiring a license 6 months prior to arrest, which that's kind of a crazy bombshell. I mean, we already knew that they likely didn't qualify as like a money transmitter, but seeing the FinCEN come out directly and had told the prosecutors a long time ago that they didn't qualify as being a money transmitter, and then the DOJ went after them anyway, is pretty enraging. And I really, really hope this allows her case to be fully dropped before it ends up going to court. That's crazy, but also not really all that surprising.
Yeah, it's exactly how they operate. I want to say maybe it was Tor Eklund or one of the other guys. It was like, listen, the guys they defend in federal court, they say, listen, the process is not fair. The process is the punishment. And the sooner you realize that this process makes no sense and is completely unjust, the better we can move on from that, because you just need to accept that. It's not surprising, but in my opinion, the world won't change until people like this go to prison for a very long time. These guys know exactly what they were doing. It's malicious prosecution. They need to lose their license and they need to be sent to prison, because I can guarantee you the samurai guys are not the first guys they've done this to. It's just the most egregious guys that they've done it to.
Yeah, and I mean, that's such a true statement, that the process is the punishment, because even if their case is dropped, which I imagine at this point it will be, they've already been severely punished like throughout this whole thing, and they've had to spend who knows how much money dealing with this situation already. So like you get severely punished before you're even convicted of anything, and that's just how it's all set up. And you'll get nothing back. You'll get nothing back from it. Like, even if the case is dropped and it turns out you are not guilty of anything and they don't actually charge you with anything. So that's how it is. Next, we've got a tweet from Luke Rudkowski. Please tell me this is fake. Please tell me this is fake. What is this? Chinese scientists grew a cerebral organoid, a mini brain made from human stem cells and connect to robot. What is this absolute freak show?
This robot is powered by lab-grown human brain cells. Chinese researchers have developed this brain-on-chip technology called MetaBOC. Researchers say that their tiny lab-grown brain could learn tasks faster than current AI models. They say it uses much less energy than AI, which needs a lot of power and data to learn. These brain cells also show more, quote, intuition and creativity than AI, learning with fewer examples. Could this be because some aspect of the human spirit is locked in these brain cells? And is there any moral issue with using human brain cells?
Who wants to actually think this is, who actually believes this is real? Let's have a show of hands.
I want it to be real, and I really don't want it to be real.
I mean, this seems like kind of like an end goal type of like, or a next step type of deal for AI, but at the same time, like, China seems to have a way of over exaggerating certain things.
Why would they use human brain cells? Like, I mean, why wouldn't you use bonobo brain cells? Start light before you go into the real ethical
small
problems.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's China though.
Is this robot going to have a social credit score?
And possibly the human soul to power
creating souls now, huh?
robots to perform slave-like behavior.
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my God.
This robot
Weird, terrifying. That's like, I
This is
mean,
Matrix
I
level
don't
stuff,
know.
bro.
Yeah, for real.
I think everyone knows it, but the original plot of the Matrix was supposed to be about hijacking human cerebral tissue for specific types of processing that the machines needed. But the idea was too far out, so the Wachowski siblings, decided to change, or maybe the directors decided to change that to energy, the stupid energy thing that we all know is retarded. But this is like getting pretty close.
This is
to
the
that
real
now.
Matrix right here.
For real.
I mean, is this a good or a bad thing? I don't know. It's getting into some really very what I don't like territory. So I think we're on the clear to. I am now on board for going to war with China, and we can nuke them and get rid of all of their cerebral organoids.
Tariffs are back on the table.
Yes, 9,000% tariffs to China now for creating very weird freak abominations that should never exist. This tweet comes from Douglas Tuman. This clip appears pretty cheesy, but is actually kind of rebellious. Publicly sending and broadcasting a Zcash transaction in Dubai, were supposedly using privacy coin to trade it banned. Is that true? Is using privacy coin trade it banned? I don't think I've ever heard that directly. I've seen a few Zcash in Dubai mentions already. Is Dubai about to drop its privacy coins ban? Oh yes, the Zcash, the recent Zcash advertising campaign going on.
Excuse me, sir. What do you do for a living?
I work in crypto.
How much money did you make last year to afford such a nice life in Dubai?
I'd rather not say transaction data or your balance.
Sorry.
How much money did you make last year to afford such a nice life in Dubai?
I'd rather not say.
But if you work in crypto, doesn't that mean all your wallets and transactions are public on the blockchain?
Not if you use Zcash.
What's Zcash?
Zcash is unstoppable private money. It allows you to send or receive money without exposing any of your transaction data or your balance.
Wow, is it easy to use?
It's so easy to use. Want me to send you some right now?
Hey, fuck yeah.
Download Zashi.
Okay, downloaded.
Let me just scan your QR. I'll send you some Zach.
Wow, that was easy. You think I could buy a house like this now?
Probably not, but maybe one day.
They chose the worst guy. I mean, I know I kind of slur my words here and there, but this guy doesn't enunciate properly. He's cheesy as fuck.
It's just, I don't know. It just reeks of like corporate TikTok account. I don't know. Like I get it. They're trying to mainstream like Zcash and privacy coin stuff. I don't know. It just is very like that's just kind of like a showing of like the different type of user base that Monero and Zcash has. Monero user base is like they're hardcore. They don't give a crap. They're not gonna be making these little cheesy videos, that are just super like low tier.
I don't get it because they got all this corporate money. You think they could at least like do some better acting, right? I think it's kind of funny too. He's like, "Hey, look at all my privacy." He's like,
while he's showing off his house and his whatever he's driving. Is that a
Excuse me, sir.
Truck, a yellow Cybertruck?
Yeah, the internet could track this thing down in about 5 minutes flat, exactly where he is.
I guess it sort of shows it solves its intention, which is just like talking about the context of it's kind of, I guess, weird. It's very showboaty, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a stupid, salty Monero maxi. I'm criticizing it for no reason. It's just, I don't know. It hits weird. So
I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the Cybertruck, but that yellow is maybe the only Cybertruck that that I've seen has some appeal. Maybe it's just the angle. I don't know.
The yellow is the cool color. I will say it's a nice color for the Cybertruck. Damn, now I have to sit here waiting until my toes straighten again. I'm sure everyone saw the one with Zuko as well. Moving on. Lola Leets tweeted, SDNY suppression of evidence is a major violation of the law that may end up getting Samurai case thrown out, experts say. Yep, we did just look over that on one of the previous posts. That'd be good to see, even though they've already been put through the ring, to a degree. Like it could be dropped before I have to get put in the ring even further. But
a long time ago, or a few years ago, a federal judge said that Brady violations are at epidemic levels. In other words, the prosecution is required to send exculpatory evidence to the defense. Like that's part of discovery, and they just don't do it. They refuse to do it because they have absolute immunity. They don't ever suffer consequences for doing so.
It's crazy. It's super messed up. Justin, 2 long dormant Silk Road linked wallets from 2013 moved 3,421 BTC, worth 322.5 million. Ooh, that sounds a little like a little something that happened last week in their first transaction over a decade. All right, so some Silk Road Bitcoins being moved. This is Silk Road wallets that are just associated with the Silk Road. This isn't funds that the government has. There's like no other context here.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm guessing these are owned by individuals because if it's in these same wallets, maybe someone actually has a lot of Bitcoin that
If I'm a
Because we don't
certain
know. It's been a
someone,
while.
I'm sweating right now. If I'm seeing this, I'm like, wait.
Yeah,
God
you're like,
why did you have to wait until this moment, bro? Why couldn't you have done it 6 months ago?
Well, since it took them such a long time to move this, hopefully they knew what they were doing by now, and they're converting it to Monero very promptly as much as they can. That's why the price is going up again. They're trying to protect their investment and not go to jail for a long time.
I have honestly been waiting and wondering, why has it taken this long for like some large amounts of heisted funds, Bitcoin, whatever, Ethereum, to move it into Monero? Like, how has it taken people like 5 fucking years to be like, maybe I need to move this into Monero? Well, I still can. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to keep these funds because they're going to be tracked on blockchain, chain analysis. And I just can't believe it's taken this long, to be honest. But
Maybe it's
I
just like fear of
underestimate
the
people.
unknown, because just by having it sit there, at least you're at no risk of anything. Like when you move it, you got to be prepared. Like if you move that, you got to be like super careful, like it with everything. Like how you move it, how you're connected to nodes, like because especially on Bitcoin, you don't have any basic privacy features. So I imagine part of that's like carefulness, but also maybe like also in regards to Monero, like being maybe potentially concerned about like how effective is Monero, and eventually they decide, okay, well I might as well move to assuming that's even what's happening here. That was baseless speculation.
Yeah, who
but
knows what they're going to do with those coins?
could be though. Next up, we got a tweet from Vic. Hey, let's make this Monero Band concept for LZ for Sir Jams. I, of course, will be donating. So this is a Kuno link to a fundraiser that Sir Jams created for creating a Monero van.
Bro's just looking to fund his van down by the river lifestyle.
Life, yeah. I have had a dream. I have a dream for 2 years now to buy a camper van and drive across the U.S. for a year to meet and onboard goods and services merchants to the Monero ecosystem. Can't wait any longer. Time to upgrade from keyboard warrior to real-life freedom fighter. A camper van seems to be the most economical way of traveling and being agile as opposed to hotels and rental cars. I will also be filming the trip for a documentary about the adventure. I have a background in filmmaking and editing. The van I'm looking at is around 17K. I don't expect to raise the full amount of a van, but anything will help, and there will be major gas costs for the mission. Interesting. So if you want to donate to this project and see this happen, you can donate to the Kuno link.
I want to see the dude. I want to see who this is. If you're getting
let me pull him up on
promote Monero, like
pull him up on Twitter. He's hosted some Monero meetups publicly before. I know him. I've met him.
Oh yeah, all
multiple
right.
times. Yep.
Yeah, he's
for jams a lot. At MGK Mushroom Breakfast. That's his handle. Yep. He's been around for a while. He's definitely legit. So
Sir James a lot. If you're listening, I mean, I'm just a dude, personally, if you're gonna roam around in a Monero van promoting Monero on the community dime, I think you should put a video of yourself, of your actual self, on your Kuno and say, hey, I'm so and so. Show us how you present, right? How do you sound? How do you talk? How do you speak? How do you look? Et cetera, so that everyone can be like, oh, okay, yeah, right on. This guy would be a good ambassador for Monero.
That's a very good idea. Very true. Very true.
I know I'm telling you to dox yourself and all, but
well, I think he. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's doxed himself. That's actually a good question. I thought he had, but maybe not.
Or maybe he's just going to wear the Vendetta mask.
Wear the mask. Yeah,
everywhere
there
he
you
goes.
Go. Just do that.
That wouldn't be unsurprising for a Monero person, to be honest.
True. Next up, we got a tweet from Rep. Anna Paulina Luna. Breaking today, I introduced the American Privacy Restoration Act to fully repeal the Patriot Act and strip rogue intelligence officers of their extraordinary mass surveillance powers. See, I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm like, the government's seriously just on, like, they're on a fuck go back moment. Like, we have to get, like, people, like, trusting us again. So then, like, 10 years down the road, we can do more tyrannical shit. Because, like, there's no real reason, like, these things should be happening other than the fact that they went a little too far too quickly, and now they got to pull back. Am I just being like a super doomer in that
No.
regard, or am I just being like reasonably suspicious? And
The price of liberty is eternal vigilance.
this is true. It's very true. Since the passage of the USA Patriot Act in the aftermath of 9/11, intelligence agency officials have used their mass surveillance tools to settle personal scores, interfere in elections, and spy on untold numbers of innocent Americans. The abuse must come to an end. I would agree. And of course, it's not that it's not possible that there are people that have legitimately good interests, but most of the interests are, the people who represent us. Their interests are derived from, other more powerful entities that give them a lot of money. So, so I guess this is a proposal to basically just eliminate the Patriot Act for the most part. Maybe something else that would be good indeed. That was a very, 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 very bad one that happened before I was even born. So,
yeah, I don't know what her motivations are, but at least step in the right direction.
Yep, step in the right direction. Yep. And next up, we've got is this a gaming video? From Jake at Jake Gagain. Monero, the secure private traceable crypto. Is this like a big YouTuber? Oh wow, I guess he's a bigger influencer. He's got almost 400,000 followers, and he just made a video about Monero.
Let's talk about the most decentralized cryptocurrency that we have in the crypto space today, called Monero. Monero launched in April of 2014 by an anonymous developer.
Cool. Well, I will let you guys watch this whole video if you want to. The links will be in the description later. But yeah, this guy looks like he is making just a info video about Monero. Very cool. Very cool. Cool to see the traction it's getting from more larger influencers. Very cool to see.
Roger Ver onboarded his brother finally.
Dude, really though, really, like this guy, he looks a lot like him. It looks like his brother. Yeah, that's so true.
I mean, cousins at a bare minimum.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, and Traceable said it right here. You look like your Ver's brother. Nice video. Keep the kind of thing. Yep.
I was about to start typing the comment, and then I saw in Traceable. I was like, oh no, you got it.
You got it first. Yeah, that's how noticeable it is. Funny.
I actually, like, before I saw it, I was like, wait, is that right? What? No, it can't be. I think that's about how long it took me to realize, like, wait, that's not actually Roger Ver. Is that really?
Yeah, no, it's just some crypto guy on Twitter, YouTube.
Right on. All right.
Super similar though. Yeah.
Another 500,000 followers onboarding.
True. Tweet from Mags. Black Mirror called. They want their plot line back. New rules in Spain. Cash withdrawals over €3,000 require strict reporting rules to tax agency to avoid heavy fines. Wow. So not even getting like a check on, like, having to fill out information about where you're using the money for. Because in the US, if you withdraw over like 10 grand at a time, you have to like fill in like some paperwork about what you're using the money for. I don't know if it gets like checked or verified at all though. But now in Europe, they're talking about, or in Spain specifically, they're talking about reporting rules to tax agencies if you're withdrawing more than 3K of your own money, which I guess really isn't your money if you have it all inside the real fake internet money is not crypto. It's bank money. That's the real fake internet money. It just exists and isn't even real. They just make it up. So,
a crime against humanity. They lose their power grid, and then no one can transact digitally. And then they're like, oh, and you can't even withdraw the money that you need to do commerce if the power grid goes down. Like, okay.
Yeah, no. And I mean, that's why I'm still like, okay, yeah, a big bullshit on Monero, because like the idea that like there would be a global internet outage is definitely like, not impossible, but like global internet and power outage is like, like not realistic. But there's like times when more local or even larger scale, like what we saw happen in Europe a couple weeks ago, that was weird. That didn't seem realistic, but it happened.
that's what I was
Some
about to
very
say, that
large, very large scale power outage that occurred. And in that case, you would be really useful to have cash on hand or have like gold backs or something that has real worth, that's physical. So just like have both. Like I'm not going to totally not crypto just because it requires requires internet.
just FYI, man, the grid is a lot more sensitive than you might think, right? Like all these grids are connected. So I mean, it's called the grid because it's all interconnected, and so it's not like you have like kind of a centralized power source. You have these various points that are just pumping power into the grid, and then sometimes it gets pumped different places, and it's not. I mean, yes, it's robust, but it's not super duper robust. Like when you see problems like the freezing that happened a couple years ago in Texas, and that took down most of the Texas grid.
That's true.
The Texas grid was fairly isolated from the rest of the nation. It's actually it's on its own, like for the most part. I mean, it has connections, but for the most part, it's on its own kind of grid. The other thing too is like, we do get hit by solar flares, and the data on this is becoming clearer and clearer that big super flares happen regularly to stars that are very similar to our sun. We've seen we have sensitive enough equipment that we can actually look out there and say, oh shit, these big super flares do happen, and these super flares would totally disable the entire power grid. Like we are at like, that's like civilization critical kind of event that can actually happen. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it is eventually going to happen. So
in all seriousness though, if something like that did happen, you're probably fucked either way. Like the fact that suddenly you don't have access to your Monero is like just such a non-issue at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally survival, and having cash might not even help you in that scenario.
There's a lot of in-betweens too, though. Like you could get hit by like a medium-sized flare, like that takes out regional grids, or parts of the global. It might not be the whole globe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that whole like, listen, you're kind of fucked if the grid goes down across the world. You're fucked anyways. 5% of preparation is going to go a long way for you. Having some seeds and some extra like food and some cash and some bullets, that's going to go a long way if you have a little bit of that than if you have zero of that.
It's true.
But you don't need to stockpile like Waco or anything. I mean, you can do that too. I recommend it, but
losing your value for no reason. So
yeah.
Next up, we've got a post from Vasto Misio. Decentralized Monero trading is hitting Android. No KYC, no middlemen, just P2P freedom. So it looks like they've created a RetoSwap app.
Shit, yeah.
Let's see this. Let me open the GitHub repo here. Oh, I'm already on it. There we go. Interesting. So it looks like someone is working on a actual app so you can use Havino Reto specifically, that instance, with your phone on Android. And it's very, very cool. That's going to be powerful. That'll enable a lot more people to be able to use Havino. I wonder what they're... Oh, C#. Okay, interesting. That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, unlocking Android is a huge unlock for a lot of normies. I mean, you tell a normie, download this desktop app, and they're like, what? No. If you say, oh, just download this app on your phone, they're like, oh, sure, it's easy.
Especially if it's on the App Store. So currently it says currently only available for Android. However, they're using Maui. That's why it's C#. Maui it's kind of like cross-platform like Flutter. It supports basically all the operating systems.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Maybe not Linux though, but at least iOS, macOS, Windows, and Android. So that's really cool. Really cool to see that. I don't know why you'd want this on Windows and Mac though, because like you have the desktop app already. Like iOS and Android, that seems like the target for this.
Is there any potential that Cake Wallet is going to integrate RetoSwap?
People have definitely asked this occasionally. Not really something we've looked at. It's definitely like a much like. I genuinely feel like something like this probably belongs as being its own app, just because of how much more is involved with it. It's not like it fits in our instant swap flow like at all. This would be its own dedicated thing, and it would be like separate from essentially the rest of the app. So at that point, it kind of makes sense for it to be its own app, like this right here. And especially since I think this has to connect to Tor by default. So there's also some extra networking steps going on there. But yeah, really cool to see that. I'll be very glad to try that out once it becomes a thing. It looks cool. Turns out, so this is a post from Seth for privacy. It turns out the folks at EXCH were right. They really were the target of a law enforcement effort. Their servers were seized, site shut down, and 34 million in crypto seized. I do find it hilarious at the Govs always failing to mention Monero, even when it was a primary driver of volume for EXCH, and they definitely see some Monero. Yeah, that's super funny, and that plays into some of what Crypto Comic Con was saying earlier. They don't want to bring too much attention to it. They really avoid like talking about it or giving it attention when they can.
It's pathetic. The silence is deafening.
It is deafening, but it's also vindicating. It's like, oh, this thing works, because otherwise the only reason they would talk about it is to try and like FUD it, like with some easily disprovable FUD that, oh, we got these guys that were using Monero, but it was like unrelated to Monero directly. The tweet continues, note that much of the Bybit official hacked Bitcoin ended up being funneled through EXCH to Monero, something to watch from here on, as now the German police at the very least will have TX IDs of withdrawals to the hackers' wallets and can attempt an Alice Eve attack or something similar against them. That will be much less of an issue once FCMP++ finally gets rolled out. While I hope the hackers get caught, this is also a fascinating exercise in how effective Monero's privacy is against a targeted attack. Will be cool to see what happens. And yeah, like Monero definitely isn't foolproof. Like for most people, it's untraceable. But if you're under like very targeted attack, then yeah, there are some ways that they could potentially get you. And that'll be improved in the near future, very soon, with like things like FCMP++. So. Yeah, that'll be interesting to keep an eye on, see what happens with that. All right. And then next we've got a post from Untraceable. Monero's network hash rate breaking 5 gigahash a second for the first time ever. New all-time high hash rate. Hopefully soon new all-time high price. It's kind of cool that the hash rate's already at an all-time high before the price even has been. That's 5 billion hashes from computers around the world every second. For reference, an AMD Ryzen 7 9800 X3D processor produces 14,500 hashes per second. 5 gigahashes equals 344,800 AMD 98X 3D CPUs mining Monero. Would be cool if those were all individual solo mining or P2Pool. Unfortunately, it's not the case. Yeah, super exciting to see new all-time high hash rate, and the price hasn't even reached an ATH yet, so that's good to see. And the next tweet goes into what I wanted to mention, which was Tari. Props to Tari. One day after launch, there are already almost as many Tari full nodes on the network as Monero. Monero nodes past 24 hours, 12,560. Tari nodes, 11,300. The Tari desktop wallet is a full node with one-click mining. This means every user runs a full node and 100% of the hash rate is decentralized through P2Pool. Also, a Monero wallet is automatically created for every user, which automatically mines XMR alongside Tari. Exemplary execution. Yeah, like props, totally props to Tari. Like whether you give a crap about Tari or not, whether you think it's just a stupid shit coin, it's not going to go anywhere. I have to at least give respect for the fact that they showed that they were friends of Monero, and they went ahead and did 50% merge mining with P2Pool and single-handedly raised the P2Pool hash rate like up massively. So they've legitimately helped decentralize Monero, and it's cool to see like the execution of the app that they've created, which is very simple. Now it's got some problems here and there. It's got some bugs. It's new. It forces everyone to connect to Tor. There's connection issues sometimes, but the app itself is very like good looking. It's easy to use. It's clean. They basically onboarded 11,000 people to a full Tari node and also 11,000 people to mining on P2Pool for Monero. So really cool to see that. I feel like if Xano, because like is Xano doing random X too? Are they?
No, I don't think so.
They're not doing something else. Okay.
Maybe they are, but they're not merge mining.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I was like, if Xano was merge mining with Monero from the beginning, I feel like they would have gotten a lot less like shit, and they probably would have like been more
seriously.
Because it shows like even if the project doesn't do that much, it shows that you're a friend and you're trying to help the existing projects like become even more decentralized, and it just like it brings a little bit of respect in a way, even if it's not ended up being that useful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they already had that like big pre-mine. There was already a significantly centralized supply. Like, why not? Like, why not merge mine with Monero? Do you really care about Monero? Like, it seems hard. Like, I know it's Crypto Zoidberg and all, but I don't know. I have my own questions over him. I don't want to say necessarily that because I don't know, shit. But somebody launched Bitcoin originally, right? Somebody did that. So the question is who did that? I wanted to ask you, do you know what the percentage of P2Pool is on the, like, as far as the total hash power?
Let's take a look. That's a good question. P2Pool hash rate. Let's see if I can find a reliable source here, because some of these sources are not super reliable.
I feel like we were 10% before.
Let's see. P2Pool hash rate, almost 400 mega hashes, 17%, 17.3%.
That's pretty good. Yeah, getting up there.
Huge improvement. Assuming we were 10% before, I don't know what it was. That's 70%, 73% gain.
We only need 50.
Yeah, only need 50 really. And then the network is very, very much secured in a safe way. So, but yeah, that's a big improvement already. It just jumped even more. Yeah, so the total network is 4.7 gigahashes at the moment. And P2Pool is doing 400 mega hashes. So yeah, not bad. Definitely getting up there. This thing seems to be changing wildly. I don't know if it's accurate, how accurate that is, but now it's showing 19.5%. But yeah, thanks, Tari. Thank you. Yes, shout out to Fluffy Pony, the CEO of Monero. He's doing helping out his company, which is Monero Corporation. And I think, I did have one more thing I wanted to share. Let me pull it up here.
It'd be funny if you made a commercial and like just totally mimicked Zuku, whatever Zuku was doing.
He totally should. That'd be amazing.
Just trolling. That might be a bit too trolling even for Rick.
So on the topic of not Monero adoption, unfortunately, but crypto adoption, sort of crypto. Stake and Shake is accepting Bitcoin payments at all locations starting May 16th, making the cryptocurrency available to our more than 100 million customers. So I'm assuming, and I did tweet about this. This is definitely just Lightning, right? It's not Bitcoin on chain. There's no way. It's only going to be Lightning. But it's still interesting to see, because it seemed like at one point there was sort of like a movement of like retail chains starting to accept crypto, like Bitcoin, mainly Lightning, and then it kind of died off. So maybe this is making a little bit of a return. I don't know. In the United States too, because the US really doesn't really give a shit about accepting crypto, like at all. So I do have one near me, so I'll check it out once they do. It's probably just going to be like Lightning, and they probably have custodial systems they're using on their end, which makes sense for a big company. But I mean, I guess it's kind of cool a little bit-ish.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely reflects a bit of a changing of the culture. There's enough people now for a big company like Steak and Shake, to pivot to the tallow-based fries and to get into the cryptocurrency. It would be nice to see them, accepting crypto in general. I mean, that's easy enough.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it's like more in general crypto and not. But I'm assuming based on this post, it's just Lightning. And the funny thing about the beef tallow fries is that little secret, they're actually pre-fried in vegetable oil before they even get to the restaurant, which is really funny. And they've been pushing this whole thing about how good their fries are. So yeah. Anyway, that's all I had for the news.
Fake fries and fake Bitcoin.
Fake fries and fake Bitcoin. True. I mean, technically, yeah, it's better than fiat. It is. Lightning 2 is like better than on-chain Bitcoin, but the improvement is much more marginal, as if it was, something like Monero. Lightning works differently though, so there's some different advantages to Lightning, but overall, I don't like it very much. Like Monero is just like, you can accept zero conf. Like there's like this argument about like Lightning being, it's super fast. Well, it's like Bitcoin or Monero, even Bitcoin, detecting a Bitcoin or a Monero transaction is like nearly instant. And for transactions that are small on Monero, you could do zero conf, but there's almost zero risk of accepting a zero count transaction for something that's like you're buying a burger and fries, you know? So
Yeah.
not really any specific reason to use Lightning there. But you know, I'll check it out once they open that up, and I'll let you guys know how that goes.